Hello, peace and blessings and namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and I'm a little bit early. I'm still going to wait for some people to come in. And backstage, we have Selah Shalom. He's waiting backstage. And we're having a little bit of technical difficulty at this time, but we're going to power our way through it. And I'm ready to go ahead and introduce him. Okay, so his name is Selah Shalom from Selah Shalom TV, and he is a waspy killer priest. Okay, he understands this book inside and out. Okay, entrepreneur, breaking generational curses, building generational wealth, all of those things that we are on this planet to do. And I'm excited for him to be here today because he's going to teach us a whole lot. And I know we've been having a little bit of technical difficulty. So if he freezes, just be patient with that. Be patient with it, and he'll come right back in. All right. The weather and where he's at is a little bit bad, but and it's causing his camera to freeze at some moments and then come back at some other moments. So he'll be coming back in just a few moments, and I'll go ahead and bring him in. Also, to let you guys know, if you want to be a part of this, hey, create a gang. Hi, welcome guys. Samesha. Okay, I got you. Selah Shalom is in the back office right now because he was having a little bit of difficulty with his camera freezing. Okay, and it's because of the weather out there. So we're going to power our way through it. And as soon as he comes right back in, I'm going to bring him on. So I was talking to my audience about him and letting everybody know what he stands for and how he's going to explain the difference between these deities and the creator, and how we can get all of this in right alignment so we can be the people that we came here to be. It's very, very, very important. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. All right, let's welcome Mr. Selah. How are you?
Peace, Queen. How you, sis?
I have been doing very, very well, and everybody wants to know, what have you been up to recently? I
do. Yo, I ain't spoke to you in like over what, 6-7 years?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
while. So since the last time we crossed paths, I'm still dealing with the bitter herbs, the medicinal herbs, still treating and healing the people that needs to be healed across the world. Doing creators work in servicing the human anatomy, I should say, from sickness and disease, trying to restore the temple, still on top of that. And then, I'm into my filming, director, producer, writer. Got a web series called Atlanta's Ugly on YouTube. 8 seasons. We're working on
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Selah. Can't hear you.
Oh, hold on. Let me see something.
Okay, there you go. Okay. You were talking about Atlanta's Ugly. He's gone. Prince Yahuda Levy. Peace to the righteous goddess, and salute to the God. Peace to you, Prince. Thank you. Peace and blessings, Stephen, the spiritual light. Thank you for joining us. He's coming back. He's been going through this for a minute. he's coming back. Don't go anywhere. But I believe that he said that he's still working on a TV series called Atlanta's Ugly. Let's bring him back in. Here we go.
Yeah, excuse that. The weather may be the weather out here, because like I said, the weather's been crazy out here. So,
So you got to pick up where you left off at Atlanta's
Ugly. Yeah, where I left off, I was just going and talking like, man, where?
Atlanta's Ugly.
Oh yeah, so I'm a director of the web series called Atlanta's Ugly. You can check it out on YouTube. Got 7 seasons, 12, 13 episodes a season. So outside of doing my spirituality and being a spiritual guru, I deal with the regular world and regular people dealing with filming and production. And I'm able to, spew some jewels to the non-believers in those realms and in those worlds, so we can slowly draw them in. You know what I mean? You bring them, we raise them up.
That's right. That's right. We're out there with the people right now. That's what we're doing. And he does say that he heals the body. So understand that. You might want to go and visit his what did you say your website was again? Selah. And he's frozen. Selah. Can you see? Can you hear me?
It's bittersweetherbals.com. Somebody from the Creator Gang, you could drop the link in there. Yeah, I told my people about the show, so they're gonna definitely chime in. Subscribe. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to the sister page. You know what I mean? Get tapped in.
Thank you. All right. Anything else we want to share with us?
On my phone too, so in case I miss it on my laptop, I can hear you clear on my
Good. Okay, good. That's even better. All right. So, when we met, all right, it was like 4 of us. And we were studying, well, I know I was studying the ancient cuneiform tablets, the Sumerian tablets, you know, the Nag Hammadi scriptures. Like I was going way back. He's gone. He'll be back. I was going way back to try to figure out, because I knew automatically that there was something that was missing from our Bibles, right? And you were seeing a lot of things in the Old Testament where we was having a lot of wars that was going on, and it didn't make sense that the creator, you know, would be in constant battle with his creation. And I have come to a realization that, wait a minute, some of these writings and stuff that was in our Bible was actually from elves and not the creator at all. So, you know, tell me what the Owaspy says about that. Share that with us.
Now, that's an interesting topic you bring up, because when I came to the realization between the difference of creator from the deities, it was an eye-opener, because from the biblical perspective, it starts off with God being a man, walking around, looking for Adam in the garden. Right. You know what I mean? Let us make man. Come, man has become like one of us. So I'm like, hold up now. If this is supposed to be the creator, why he talking like a man? Like he talking like how we talk. Right. So that was the first red flag, even pre-Owaspy, when I was just studying scriptures. Like, okay, well, if this is the one who created the sun, moon, and stars, and he's supposed to be all-knowing, why he looking for Adam? You know what I mean? Why is he walking? Why is he departmentalized and sectionalized when he's supposed to be ever-present? So these were the things that started running rampant in my head, like, okay. And then, you know, don't let me get into the characteristics and the behavior of the gods in the book. That's a whole nother subject matter. But just the fact that growing up, we always thought that God, Lord God, we look at that as Jesus. Some people look at Jesus as God. We look at that's the omnipotent creator, only to come to the conclusion that these are no more than men and women, depending on the nature of the deity, if it's a god or it's a goddess. These are one-time human beings that died, rose in the atmospheric realms or the spiritual realms belonging to the planet, and advanced and took on the titles of gods and lords and saviors. So when I found that out, I was like, oh, that makes way more sense why they would behave and have characteristics, because they are an extension from the human or the terrestrial side, and they still carry the behaviors that they did when they was terrestrial. So as a human being, I'm subject. I have attributes of being angry. I have attributes of I could be hateful at times. I could be loving at times, merciful, dreadful. So when I realized, like, oh, these deities just carried the characteristics that they had when they was in their terrestrial form, but now they're just advanced and still they're weaning themselves from those behaviors as they progress. But you have certain deities that want to make themselves the omnipotent creator and fool us to believe that they're the creator. And that's what I've been differentiating throughout all these years. So bringing the people back to the creator and differentiating them from the deities, who we call the gods.
That's right. And even with I am the Lord, God is a man of war. Remember that scripture? How was God a man of war? You understand? So I was coming to that realization as well, because I started dealing with a lot of ascended masters. Okay, now I'm one that have my third eye open. I'm sorry, guys, you know, but you know, I deal with, you know, those beings. I even deal with the Drusians as well. Okay, when it comes down, so I understand how this is
Facts,
actually
facts. You
working.
deal with them all.
But right, I deal with them all. I'm a very spiritual woman. That's just what I am. So when I was going through this, I couldn't figure out how to place this in the Bible. Like, it wasn't making sense. But when I came across the Owaspy, and if those of you who don't know what this is, honey, it's huge. You understand this? If you can go through this, okay, you're a good one. So my brother right here went through all of that. I couldn't do it, but my personal experiences allowed me to. So now that we understand that the deities are not, he's laughing. He got roasted. He got one too. There you go. Now that we start to understand that these deities, like I used to always say, no such thing as a false prophet, right? A prophet only speaks what they hear, but the deity can be false. So if the deity is speaking falsely to that prophet or that prophetess, then that's what's going to come out, and they're going to write about it. But no, the creator is not about war. It's not about separation or
On my
anything like
laptop,
that.
you're froze, but on my phone, I'm listening to you. So if there's a delay in my response, that's why.
You're open now, right? Can you hear me? And there he goes. So when he comes, when he comes back, I'm so sorry. When he comes back, I'm going to get him to explain to us about the arc cycles, like the real history of the earth. Because even when it comes down to that Adam and Eve story, oh, honey, it's completely different in the Owaspy. You would be surprised at who they were talking to. So come on, Selah, where you at? There you go. Oh, there you go. Okay, you there?
I'm back.
Okay. All right. Explain to the people what the forbidden fruit was.
Oh,
that
man.
Adam and Eve story. Oh yeah, get into it, y'all.
And you know what the crazy thing? Here's what coincide with the Owaspy and the Bible. Although we who study Owaspy know that the story is allegory based, but there is some truth in it. But what I found interesting about that forbidden fruit is essentially it was dealing with reproduction. It was dealing with what we call the tree of life, which is the reproductive system, the reproductive organs.
Okay.
So when it was talking about don't take of the fruit, your eyes going to be open, knowing good and evil and all that, it's really making them self-aware, self-consciousness. And a lot of times when you have your sexual experience, you become aware, you become conscious, what you've done, you feel bad of what you've done, you feel like, especially for the women, they'll feel guilty of what they've done and stuff like that. The men be trying to prove their point, like, yeah, I got it, things of that nature. But when I looked at the narrative of the story, it definitely was based around offspring. Because right after that, you hear about Cain and Abel being born, the curse that was given for them taking of the fruit. Adam going to sweat from his bowels. She's going to give Eve going to have pain through childbearing. I'm like, all right, well, the sin has to coincide with the action. So why is she going to have childbearing if it ain't coincide with something sexual? And then when you look at the genealogy of Cain and Abel right after that, you see that, you see the genealogy of Adam, Abel, Seth, and then the lineage goes. But then you see a separate genealogy for Cain, where Cain is not associated with the genealogy of Adam. It's like a separate lineage. And, I've been through different schools of thought dealing with.
I am sorry. He's gone. He's gone again. Okay. He'll be back in a few moments. I'm going to keep this going for him. I know that I had read in the Owaspy that a lot of it had to do with, like the angelic realm clothing themselves in the human flesh. Okay, he's back now. Let's go.
Bum.
Come on.
All right, so speaking on the forbidden fruit from a reproductive sexual experience, and the offspring is the result of that, seeing your own nakedness through your offspring. And then in the Owaspy, it's interesting because in the tale of the forbidden fruit in the Owaspy, that knowledge of not to interfere with the tree of life was given to the angels in the Owaspy. So I was like, interesting. And the angels that came to the earth during the time of early man.
You're frozen. Selah, you are frozen again. Give him a few moments.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, there I go. I'm back.
Okay, there you go.
All right, I'm back, but your screen is frozen. Huh? Just let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
1 second.
I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
Okay, all right. You said you can hear me. I just responded. So although I can't see you on my laptop, I'm gonna.
Selah. Okay, so where he left off was he was talking about, you know, that was actually given to the angels because what would initially happen is if they partook in the forbidden fruit or meshed with humans, that they would actually have an issue with ascension. Okay, that it would kind of bind them to this realm, and therefore, you know, that's why we're having a lot of these experiences during this time, because I don't think a lot of us actually realize that some of us here have been here for a very long time. Okay, here he comes. All right. Are you back now?
Yeah. I was listening to you right there. So yeah. Yeah. So we getting deep right off the tail end. So in the Owaspi is basically saying that in the beginning when man was created and man was in a state of ignorance, meaning like when a baby comes into the world, a baby is ignorant, knowing nothing. It has to be taught. And the teacher are the parents. Now, at the beginning, the parents or the teachers were the angels. Their
Right.
duty was sent to lift man up, to teach him, to educate him. I think the same thing a parent would do to a child. But the difference with this is that these angels that came, these were angels, not all of them, but some of them, who died in infancy, meaning that they never experienced a physical life. So this was their first time manifesting as a terrestrial being, although they died in infancy, regardless of how, whether 10,000, however long ago it was, they didn't experience a physical life. So when Jaja told him to alighten on the earth to raise up primitive man, to know him, his capabilities, these angels, this was their very first time experiencing a terrestrial life. So they're going through the footnotes of learning everything on a terrestrial level. They never experienced what feeling tastes like. This is their first time experiencing 5 senses, in a sense: touch.
You froze again, and you froze. And look, what is the
So these angels never lived a physical life, never experienced these things. Some of these angels interbred with man. I'm frozen again. Oh no.
Yeah. Look, Natalia said that you got the bootleg. She is messing with you. She's messing with you. Say like you got the bootleg phone. Your audience is messing with you. He'll fix it. He'll fix it. He'll fix it. There might be. We might have to push this off if we can't get the constant streaming going in, because he has such a powerful message to teach, and I don't want people to miss out on it. You know, I really, really don't, because this is important for us, and especially during this day and age. Understanding how thin the veil is right now, how close we are to speaking, you know, with our ancestors. And okay, here he comes. Let's go. All right, go ahead, Selah.
Yeah, I dropped the
The what?
all right, bomb.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So All right, yeah, I dropped it to 480. Maybe hopefully that'll work a little better. But yeah, like I was saying about the angels, for example, the angels that came were one-time human being. Like an angel is nothing more than a one-time human being, just to be clear. You know what I mean? A lot of times we've been taught that angels are little white babies floating with wings on their back. You know what I mean? Through the Catholic belief system, you know, a lot of people still hold on to that. But
Right.
essentially, an angel is a planet or anywhere throughout the cosmos. The system is the same.
Hi, young Haru. We trying to keep up though. You really think so, Sophie? I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be, a little issue, and then when he starts to really flow and get into it, it dies out. Okay, hold on. There we go. He's back again.
Right when the fire starts, the electricity gets.
Yeah. I'm
That's
wondering
the
why.
gamma rays affecting them visible light rays.
He said, "Dreadful Kosmon said, wow, they really hating."
Yeah, man, that's the Owaspy gang. Shout out Owaspy gang. Create a gang in the building.
Create a gang. How are you?
Hey, yo, I'm gonna add sis to the Create a gang chat, y'all. So beware. I'm gonna go ahead and add sis. She one of us, yo.
I am just living out my experience. But keep it going. You were
Yeah, I'm
going
sorry. Well, okay. I would just talk about the angels for a second, because a lot of times when
right.
people hear angels, they think of, they get kind of spooked out. But even in the Hebrew, angels meaning malak, it just mean a messenger, and that messenger is a person. And even in the Bible, when you look at the angels, they were men. When the two angels came to Abraham in the tent, they were described as men. You know what I mean? Ashtaroth is a female goddess; she's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So these deities are nothing more than men and women at best. Terrestrial, on a terrestrial level, we represent on the terrestrial side, and when we cross over on the celestial side, it's the same person, just advancing spiritually in higher vibrational frequencies outside of the visible light that we're bound to on this terrestrial level.
Right.
So angels ain't nothing more than one-time human beings. Now, like I said, these angels were the ones who died in infancy. So just imagine all the women who had miscarriages, who lost their children within the fetus or after their birth, stillbirths. Those spirits of those infants still live on. And they advance and grow spiritually the same way they would advance and grow on a terrestrial level. So by the time these angels become gods and lords themselves in the spiritual realm, Jehovah sends them back to the terrestrial realm to let them learn what they missed because they died in infancy. Now, when I seen that in the Owaspy, I said that's genius, because a lot of times we feel that when we lose the infant child or stillbirth, that's it. The baby's gone. There's nothing else of it. But Creator showing us that no. Once conception happens, that entity lives on through eternity, whether if it lives a full terrestrial life, live to be 70 years old, 50 years old, 25 years old, 100 years old, or whether if it dies.
Oh, shoot.
So with that now,
you're frozen again.
And when they came, they clothed themselves with the elements of the earth, like the Owaspy described. They clothed themselves by the force of their own will. Now, that's another thing that I found.
Stephen Spiritual Light says, that's why my son was playing with his siblings when he was younger. My son's mother had 2 miscarriages before I had him. So you're talking about somebody else that is now actually experiencing this. Selah, you are frozen again. I don't know what your weather is doing. But we got to get you on here rolling. So you're absolutely right, Stephen. And I have experiences with this as well in real time. Go ahead. Keep it going.
So definitely. So now the next thing I found quite interesting with the angel part was when the angels manifested on earth, it stated that by the power of their own wills, they manifested with flesh and bone. So when they said that showed the power of the spirits or the angels to actually do that, to by the power of their own will, they clothe themselves flesh and bone. So now you have these angels walk they have all the minerals of the earth. Now, this is what makes me say that the O blood will be the blood type to fit these angels, because when you look at the animal kingdom, you see, you got the ABO blood types, but they consider O blood type a rare and a foreign blood type when you look at, depending on who you're researching and who's doing the background on blood types. But for me, what would make sense for the angels to have blood type O.
Right. Mm-hmm. We do. Frozen. Master Coco, though, you're right. Go ahead and send that out. Send that out, Master Coco. That's one of my that's a young dragon right there. He's amazing. He's an amazing person. But Selah, you're still frozen. You're still frozen. You're still frozen. Come back out and come back in. And while he's doing that, I want to go ahead and I guess what I really want to do is provide confirmation in real time of some of the things that he was saying. In the astral realms, like during the time where I was like really, really, really in that twilight sleep, I was able to see, how planets and energy was made, and it was pulled from the atmosphere that it was in. Like everything, our bodies, the earth, the planets, whatever it is, it was being pulled. And I saw it swirling like this. And he's going to come back in and tell us now that he's back. Go ahead.
Yeah. I come. If it goes out, we just keep rocking out like this and stuff like that. But yeah, like I was just saying, the power of the angels, by the power of their own will, manifested with flesh and bone. That just show you the advancement of the angels to even use willpower to even do that. That's like saying that we can have willpower and become invincible and then become visible again through willpower. But being that these angels are advanced spiritual beings, they have the ability to use their willpower like that while we're still adapting and becoming even conscious of willpower. You see what I'm saying? So when these angels manifested, their blood type would have been foreign to the planet. They would have no tie to the animal kingdom. So the O blood type will fit that description because O is a universal blood type and it can donate to any human on the planet. So that blood type will kind of fit the blood type of the angels if they would have had to manifest. And if they interbred with man, now we have a blood type mixture of A, B, O. Now you see O in the blood pool of the animal kingdom now. Now you do have certain animals that may have traces of O blood type, but like they say, it's a rare occurrence. It's a rare thing. So on a genetic level, dealing with flesh and bone, we could look at that blood type and say, maybe there's a possibility that it's a connection between the deities that came from old that interbred with primitive man. And like you said earlier, we carry the gene pool of the gods. So we're half terrestrial and we're half celestial.
Amen. Yes, we are. Half terrestrial, half celestial, especially if you have that. Oh, he's frozen again, so I'm going to keep it going so we can keep it entertaining while he comes back in and out.
All right, I see myself. I'm back. So
there you go. Go ahead.
Half terrestrial and half celestial, indeed. And that's the secret of if you ask me, that's the missing link. When they talk about the missing link of the human evolution.
Of course it is.
Yeah, the missing link of the
right,
and making sure I ain't frozen because I'm looking at my phone and I'm looking at my laptop, making sure I ain't frozen so I don't.
You are. All right, but he's going to come back out. He's going to come back in. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this going. The O negative blood is not native to planet Earth. Okay, so we already know that those of us who carry like O negatives, O positives, that we have that celestial DNA. And a lot of times that is what also helps us to be able to discern a little bit better. Okay, our spirituality is a lot more heightened, and this is hard to explain to people who don't have, this type of insight, this type of knowledge, this type of know-how. So and I know this had to be hard for him because you're talking about bringing out something absolutely new and different that goes against the grain of everything that we believed for a very long time. the Bible is such a small book when it comes down to these things. It really is. And I consider it a baby book because there's so many missing pieces in it. How you know so, sis? How do I know so of what? Of what? Be specific and I'll answer you. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Add the stream. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Are you talking about the science of old blood? Young Heru? He wants to know how we know.
How we know what specifically? What the?
I don't know. That's why I'm at. That's what I asked. Oh, about the old blood. About the old blood.
Yeah, when you just do research on O blood type, you'll see that in certain researches, you'll see that they'll say that the blood type is foreign, it's not native to the animal kingdom, it's rare. They'll say it's rare. It's not as common as A and B blood type. It's a rare blood type. So that's why I link it to the ancient gods, because if they descended down and interbred, their blood type wouldn't be part of the animal kingdom. It'll be considered foreign or rare.
Right. Right.
So that's just my hypothesis on that.
Now, and then even if you're thinking about evolution, okay, where would that old blood would have evolved from? You know, so
exactly, facts.
Everything in our, you know, when it comes down to old, it's like it has no point of origin. You know, when it comes down to other species, you know, it does have a point of origin. So we've concluded that this has to be that genetic marker. You know,
right.
But keep it going. I don't want to take over. This your
show.
No.
I'm listening too. You know, what I mean, you dropping some gems. You know, we back and forth with it. But yeah, you know, on the blood type, that's what, you know what I mean. When you look at the closest primates to us is what the chimpanzees and the orangutans and you know, these carry A and B blood types, and these are the closest genetic to humans. But you know, it's rare that you find O. So like you say, where did the O come from? You know what I'm saying? So that's the hypothesis that we have dealing with the angels or the gods of antiquity that came and interbred with primitive man. And it could have went both ways. It could have been the women getting pregnant, and it could have been the males dropping the seed in the primitive. It could have been the angel men dropping seed in primitive women, and vice versa. It could have been primitive men dropping seed in angelic women. Although these angels, like I say, are terrestrial, carrying flesh and bone. So that's interesting.
Very interesting. All right. So we want to dispel another thing. Okay. So what would you say to, the audience that think that after you die, that's it? You're either going to heaven or you're going to hell. They don't think that we keep evolving. And a lot of times when I'm talking on my channel, I'm always talking about, you know, how we, all sentient life forms, keep evolving to higher states of evolution. Higher states, sure. Young Hero wants to know. Can he get on the panel? Okay. Higher states of evolution.
That's absolutely correct.
Everybody. So explain that. Explain how that works.
That's absolutely correct.
Explain it. Selah.
All right. I just heard you say explain it. All right. So cool.
So we have a Samesha of the creator Gang said, what about RH blood? Is he frozen again? Other believes that we are the falling according to the text. Stephen, that's a topic that I would really like to get into. But I don't want to get into it on this particular show because I have experiences with that too. And it's kind of like during this era, during this era, a lot of us are advancing, okay? But that's also them too. And I guess we've been trapped here. Like some beings have been trapped here because they weren't advancing spiritually, okay? Because of the forbidden fruit, okay? And so even in this time, we're all trying to ascend so we can go back home. That's the easiest way that I can say it. Go ahead, Selah.
Yeah, you hit it in a nutshell with that one. You know what I'm saying? So This is like a school. The spiritual progression is like school. The earth is elementary school. This is the elemental realm where we learn the elements. And then you have the atmospheric realm. That's like high school. You advance spiritually and you advance just like college. You start from high school, then you go to college and your education advance. And then you have above the atmosphere, and you have the ethereal. And that's like advanced universities in the cities within the universes within the cities. So like you said, we're bound on the earth plane. The earth is subjected to a vortex, and you're here to progress on the earth plane through the atmospheric plane, the different levels of atmosphere. And then once it's time to graduate, like school, you graduate and move on to the higher realms outside of the earth and its atmosphere. Now you're a graduated student. You learn all the education of the realm. Now it's time to move on. So, like you say, but we've been taught to believe that, some people don't even believe in life after death. They think when you die, that's it.
Right.
And some of those be the most courageous people. Once they cross over and realize that there is life after death, they become very awakened to say, you know what I mean? But for those like us who are aware of it, when we cross over, it's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I was expecting this anyway. Where I need to go learn that, where the education feels at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and for those who believe that, like the religious world, the Muslims, the Christians, the Jews, the Jews or the Hebrew Israelites, they're programmed to believe that Yahshua is going to come, take them, or no matter of fact, I'm going to go according to what the text say in the Revelations, that the New Jerusalem is going to come down from heaven to the earth in little Jerusalem, and then everybody's going to be living in this kingdom in Jerusalem.
Oh God, it was just getting good. It was just getting good.
Right. That they're going to be with Jesus in the kingdom. So these spiritual systems in religion are subjected spiritual systems. The spiritual systems that are stagnant. Yeah, so it's like for a Christian, for a Muslim, for a Hebrew Israelite, there's a limitation to their spiritual growth because their whole objective is to be one with God in the kingdom. And then there is no progression after that. It's just you serving God, you bowing down, you just saying holy, holy, holy all day.
I don't mean to bust out laughing while he's pausing and buffering, but that was the book of Revelation was one of my eye openers. Okay. That's when I read that, I said something is wrong here. Why do we go to an afterlife and just sit around and do nothing but bow and say holy, holy, holy all day? But now we're dealing with ascended master spirit guides and things like that. Like that never made sense to me. I thought that was the most egotistical thing I have ever come across. So please go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's facts though, because it's like you will be sitting around doing. That's like your third grade teacher telling you, don't worry about that sending nowhere else. This is the highest high school grade, third grade. And you're just gonna be stuck in the realm of third grade education. You know what I mean? All your mathematics, your literature, social studies is all coming from a third grade level. So it's the same thing with these religions. When they go to their heavenly kingdoms, they're stuck on a certain level and they begin to stagnate. And a lot of times they revert backwards and become the drudges and the drooges and the evil spirits that you hear about. You see what I'm saying? Because there's no spiritual progression. If you have nothing to progress, you're going to revert backwards. You're going to become a wandering spirit. So the Owaspy makes us clear these things, and it lets us know that there is endless education and that there's endless realms to study and investigate. Creation is endless. So that's the beautiful thing that the Owaspy shows us, that there is no shortcoming here. There's no limitation. Just like Creator, it's ongoing. And you just...
Right. And I would tell people on my platform, you're buffering, King. If you can hear me, you're still buffering. So I'm just talking through it till you come back. I would like to tell people, that are on my platform that, growing, evolving, it never stops. Okay. As long as there's a broad universe, and if the universe is constantly moving, so are we. We are supposed to always elevate in our consciousness. Even when we pass over, we still have something to learn. We got charges to come back. Like many of our ancestors come back here. They come back here and they help us evolve. They come back here and they teach us certain things. They come back here and they refresh our memories. They help us open up scrolls and solve mysteries so that we can be wise on this planet and that we can clear out any karma that we may have had in the past. And this is what we do, you know, when we, okay, he's coming back. All right, I'm gonna let him go again. All right, Selah, in and out.
Oh, you going in right now. I'm over here looking at the phone, almost forgot I was live and shit. I'm like, yo.
I'm sorry. Don't let me talk like that, because then I'll keep going.
Nah, you going in. So, you going in. You going in. But you, everything you said is right and exact. So, like, the angels, the ancestors, because some people, when they hear angels, they get spooked out. But if you say ancestor, they'll, especially for black folks, they're like, all right, ancestor sounds better than angels. So it's just a play on words. But like you said, the ancestors, the angels, they are guardian angels.
Right.
Like the Owaspi describes, you have a guardian angel. It's a system to the heavenly kingdom. Right. So from the chief head honcho, the head nigga in charge being God, he's just a chief ruler of the heavenly kingdom, no different than the president. And then below the God, you have Lord gods. They're district rulers. They rule over continents and countries. And then below the Lord gods, you have lords. They rule over states, cities. Right. So just to give an example of how the structure works, if we have 52 states in America, that's 52 lords governed under one Lord God who rules over America, governed under God who's reside over the whole planet. See, the Owaspi gives us this structure so we can be clear of how government works, because it's the same way government works on Earth. You think we're going to live on Earth and have a whole government structure like this, die and then obliterate into nothingness? No. Right. As above, so below, as above. These earthly governments are a reflection of the heavenly governments. Where you think grandpa and grandma who done died 30, 40, 50 years ago, who died in the 1700s, where you think they at? They learning and progressing in the heavenly kingdoms. No different than what we're doing on Earth now. The same way we register and go to school and learn a subject and get proficient in that subject, and then from that subject, you can take the subject into the real world and teach others the craft. It's the exact same thing in the heavenly kingdom.
That's right. Now, that's funny you should say that, because even with my life, right, I went into the military. Like most people know this. I was in the military for a season or so. Okay. And I didn't have any military career after that, right? Like nothing. Like I came out, I did the reserves, I did absolutely nothing after that. And I sat back and I was trying to figure out, like, why did I have to even go through this process? Well, it was because I needed to learn order and hierarchy. Discipline, order, hierarchy. So all of that, even my life became a lesson in this, because now when I'm reading the Bible and I see the Lord says versus God said, or versus Lord God says, and you know, you don't have names with this. And a lot of people are sitting around thinking that, you know, this is all coming from the Creator. No, it's not, right? So even to have that understanding, this is why it makes sense to me. When I started seeing the structures of how things work, why I had to go through that on the physical plane so that I could understand how to address these things. So keep it going. Keep it going, Selah.
And that was an excellent example that you brought. And honestly, the military is a good example to show structure and order. The military, government, and even martial arts, with the ranking system in martial arts, it showed you that one universal order of student, master, master, student, beginner. So it's the same thing with the heavenly kingdom. So our guardian angels, their duty is to guide us spiritually and not too much interfere directly, so we could develop our own senses. Because if we depend on the angels to do everything for us, we're not developing our own talents. So, for example, if I want to walk to the store and I decide to call an angel to carry me, you know, I'm not developing my talent of walking. You know, I ain't gonna be no fast runner. I ain't gonna be no good walker, because I'm always being carried to the store by the angels. So a lot of time when the angels guide us, it's done in a way where we're not even conscious of it. Like the Owaspi say that the angels are around you, you just don't know it. So I was like, hey, okay. So it's making you aware of higher forms of intelligence, which are our ancestors that are around us. And the only reason we can't see them, the only reason we can't hear them, is because they exist outside of visible light and sound. That is like for example, visible light is 400 to 700 nanometers. Now we're dealing with science. We're not dealing with spookism anymore. So now we don't took the spiritual and brought it into the science realm, and it's still the same reality, because the electromagnetic spectrum deals with visible light and invisible light. The ancestors live in invisible light. We as terrestrial beings still are cloaked in the flesh, so we're in visible light. Our range is 700 to 400 nanometers. Everything in that realm, in the wavelength, is what we see. Outside of that wavelength is what we would consider invisible. And that's where the ancestors dwell, right outside of visible light. Sometimes they'll slow down their frequency to 400 nanometers so you can see them. You'll be like, oh snap, I just saw an angel. And then they'll disappear.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? The reason they disappear is because they increase their vibrational frequency right outside of 400 nanometers. So they could go to 480 nanometers and they'll be right outside of visible light. You may look at them and see them as a ghost. You may be able to see through the angel because they're visible and invisible right on the borderline of the frequency. Is 480, they right there visible. But if they hit 280 on the electromagnetic spectrum, we ain't gonna be able to see them because the frequency moving so fast is undetectable to us.
Right.
They can slow it down for them to see, like, hey, here I am. You're like, oh snap! I just saw grandma walking down the hallway. Oh, you didn't see grandma.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And you know what? He's frozen again. You know what ends up happening?
Yeah. So spirituality and science is one and the same. It's just when the creator gives you that download to understand it and express it, then you'll be able to see it.
Well, you did chop out a little bit, so I need you to go back because there was a part of that the audience did not get to hear. You still there? Good breakdown, so they can hear. Okay, Selah. Okay, is he coming back? Okay, he's going to come back. So one of the things that, when he was talking about the breakdown of these spirits that are slowing down, to be able to identify with us or allow us to see. Have you noticed that once they notice that they can be seen, that they completely disappear? They completely get on out of there like really, really quick. I've seen beings in purple robes. I've seen beings in gold robes. I've seen beings in white with halo. I have seen a lot of like regular ghosts walking through and past, but I have to catch it at a certain amount of time. And typically that happens in the twilight. Now, when it comes down to dealing with the ancestral realm, this can easily take place in your pineal gland. If you know how to meditate, and you know how to raise your vibration up to a higher level, you can see them. You can have communication with them. One of the things that he said a little bit earlier, I'm still waiting for him to come back, so I'm just not running. One of things that he said a little bit earlier about the Owaspy was, that these angelic people, they had the ability to, wrap themselves in clothes just based off of will. Well, that was something that our ancestors taught even in Egypt, okay? Especially when you hear the writings of the Emerald Tablet. Oh, I think he's back now. Okay, well, he was talking about how man, how Tahuti saw how man was able to create in the ethers based off of their will. Okay, so these places, these cities, all of this stuff that we're talking about, it actually exists. Keep it going, King. I got you. Go ahead, Selah. I think he's frozen again. Okay, so, Selah. Selah.
Hold on, all right.
Because I don't want y'all to hear me today. Y'all been hearing me a long time. I just wanted the rest of the gang. I wanted other people to know that these experiences that, I talk about on my channel, right, the Emerald Tablet. So you know it, Stephen. He talks about that. He talks about man having the ability to create in the ethers off of pure, and he was surprised. Okay, let's go.
Facts. I got two
so now we got two of you in here. Let me remove
my spiritual body right there. You know what I mean? But nah, you said something that's profound because it's like, the power of will. Even in the Owaspy, when you read the story of Fatma, who you say like Tahuti,
right? When
you read that version in the Owaspy, it said that Fatma could use the power of his will to know things far and near. He could travel out of his body and spirit. He was telling Osar this. He was telling Osar like, yo, I know how to come out of my body, but it's to control my spirit. That's what I'm working on. And Osar like, damn, all right, this nigga do all this. All right, this is what I need you to do. Build me a pyramid. We're going to build some spirit chambers, and I'm going to show you how deep the rabbit hole really goes. So a lot of times, the Owaspy is clear what the pyramids was built for. Spirit communion. There's chambers in there. You swallow your tongue and laid and go into the death trance. You come out your body spiritually, what they call astral projection. The
Right.
deities will take you up into the lower realms, show
Yep.
you the kingdoms, and then these angels, I mean, these magi or these mediums will come back and describe, write to the other priests what they saw and what they experienced. You know what I mean? That was
Right.
the secret within the inner temple. The inner temple secret was spirit communion. Even with the Israelites, you had the outer temple and the inner temple. The inner temple was spirit communion. The outer temple was just the Levitican laws, like, all right, don't do this, don't do that. But those in the inner temples were the
Right.
ones who knew the secrets.
Okay. All right. I hope y'all are getting this. So, Selah, is the Earth 6,000 years old?
Let me tell you something. The 6,000 years old is the 23rd arc cycle for us. You know what I'm saying?
Let's
It's
get
like,
into it, y'all. Let's get into it.
the whole 6,000 years comes from the false gods. And for those who study Owaspy, we know that the false god Anu Hassaj, who rose in the 23rd arc cycle, which is during the 3953 BC or 4th millennium BC to 15th 53 BC, around that time period, which is the rise of Sumer, ancient Egypt, Babylon. Around that time is when those deities created the creation stories that we know of today as the 6-day creation story, the Amuna, Elish, Enki, Enlil, Anu, Osar, the Egyptian Enods and the pantheons. All that rose up around the same time. Now, don't you find that quite coincident that all these deities and all these gods just rose up around the same time? They had an agenda, and their agenda was to imprison the minds of mortals with their doctrine. And that doctrine that they started with was the creation story that we have, whether it be coming out of whether it be coming out of Suma with the 7-day creation myth, the Amuna Elish, or whether it be the Kemetic creation story. All of that is false, from the false deities to imprison the minds of mortals to make up subservient slaves after we die. That's their whole agenda. Their whole agenda is to create subjects after we die. So while we on earth praising these deities, not knowing their agenda, for them, they're like, oh, we got him. This is food for us. We got 300,000 followers on earth. So when they cross over, that's 300 followers in spirit that we're going to make them go ahead and pick them cotton fields in the kingdom. That's how they looking at us. While we're looking at them as creators and gods, or I can't wait to sit on the right hand and talk to Jesus. That's how we looking at it. But they looking at it like, nah. And these are the false gods. These are the ones who have agendas. Now, you do have righteous gods who do speak about advancing the terrestrials, advancing the angels that are under them, instead of making the angels under them worship them as deities. Because true God don't require your worship. The only one who requires worship is Creator. And the way you worship Creator is by serving others in righteousness and good works. You don't have to bow down on your face and say, holy, holy, holy all day. You know what I'm saying? You can go to the store, open up the door for somebody, and that's part of your grade. That's part of your ascension, just doing that simple work by opening the door and allowing somebody to walk through. See what I'm saying? Some people overlook that, think that, oh, that don't mean nothing. But yeah, that carries a lot, because you're serving someone in good works, even if it's just to open the door. Just using it as a minute example.
Yeah, I like to tell people a lot of times you have to be very careful who you are praising, who you are answering to while you're here on this earth, because it is an as above, so below. And if you put yourself in bondage here, when you ascend, you're going to be in bondage there. It was the angels that created the false heavens and the hells. Get into it.
Exactly. Facts. So like I said, these angels 6,000 years ago created the creation stories that we have today. The most known one is the 6-day creation story that we have in the Bible. And that's where people believe that the earth is 6,000 years old, because some people believe that according to God, a day is 1,000 years. So they'll look at the 6 days as 6,000 years from the creation of from Genesis 1 to when Adam was created. Let us make man. They're saying that's 6,000 years. And from that point on till now, it may be another however amount of 1,000 years, how they calculate it. But we know, like on the timeline, that that's totally off, because 6,000 years ago was the Nakada period of ancient Egypt, then the Jaded period in the ancient Sumer, or the Ubaid period in ancient Sumer, I should say. The Nakada period was from 4th millennium BC to the time of Narmer. So there go your whole 6,000 years ago is right there. Like Narmer is 6,000 years ago. So it's like how the world is going to be created 6,000 years ago when you got Narmer etched in history. And then if you even go further back to the petroglyphs, which is the first writing system on the planet, which is carved images in stone, we got petroglyphs going back 20, 30, 40,000 years ago. And these things is found in France. Some of this is found right here in the Americas. And these are petroglyphs, written systems by primitive men before, civilization for what we know, started 6,000 years ago with Narmer conquering Egypt. Then and then history as we know it really starts 6,000 years ago. But when you go past Narmer, when you go past to the Nakada, the Ubaid period of ancient Sumer, 4,000 years ago, you see the baby with the reptilian sucking the breast.
With the
4,000 years ago.
Yep.
And then going further back, it's like exactly. And then going back 5,000-6,000 years ago, it's like shit. History is scarce. We got pottery and stuff like that, but you know the bulk of history is within a 6,000 year time period, and that's the same time period that the false gods gave us the whole belief that the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Gotcha. So, how old do you think the Earth is?
Now that's a good question because honestly, no one really knows. But the dope thing about the Oahspe, it gives us a system and order of how things are created. So the Oahspe states that the Earth, the solar system, has orbited 3 times around the galactic center. So roughly, we're talking, just put it on a scale, I'll put a cap of say 13 to 14 million years that the Oahspe referenced the age of the Earth. So we go from 6,000 to 13 to 14 million years old. Now we don't know how old the Earth is. That's just the angels saying that, yo, when these Etherians came to the planet, they read the record of the solar system and seen that, oh, the solar system has orbited 3 times around the galactic center. That's like for us saying, all right, 3 years around the sun.
Right.
So one orbit is 4 million change. So when we were doing the math and playing with the numbers, it came out to be roughly like 13, close to 14 million years. That's how old, and that's man on the Earth to say that they were describing. That's how old man is on the Earth, 13 to 14 million years old. But not one consecutive go. It's like man is created, inhabited, extinct, then created, inhabited, and extinct, just like the 4 seasons.
Right.
Apple trees of this year is not the apple trees of last year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the human stock of this generation or of this period is not the same human stock of the last cycle of humans.
That's right. Our DNA evolves.
Exactly. And then the crazy thing, the DNA spirals like a vortex. You see the vortex even within the DNA.
There you go. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So when we deal with the arc cycles, what was the time that it was based on? 3 circulations around the galactic. Say it again.
That's interesting because the arc cycles are based off of 3,000 year periods.
Okay.
So like as the Earth orbits around the sun, it goes through 3,000 year periods where from one marker, to start to finish is the 3,000, start to finish, and so forth as it goes around the galactic center. So the same way we got 4 seasons, 4 simple spring, summer, fall, and winter. The solar system has a grander seasons, like I think roughly like 15 or 16 arc cycles, 15 to 1600 arc cycles that it goes through to complete one orbit. So from the creation, or from this particular orbit that we're in right now, we're in the 7th garden of the inhabitable age. So according to the Oahspe, we 6 times, and we're the 7th stock right now in this particular orbit.
Okay. All right. And what was like the
I see myself. But that gets real detailed because you have certain systems and cycles, and then systems and cycles within systems and cycles. So that could get complex a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it does get complex, but I'm of the belief that, with every single cycle, okay, it looks like the Earth it's getting buried and buried and buried. Like we just continue to bury the old and then bring something new. And some of us have, the ability to tap in to certain deities, okay, or certain lifetimes before, or certain angels, or however you want to, say that. Some of us have the ability to tap into that previous arc cycle to bring about some newness in this one, some revelation that wasn't previously open. Like I say, that we are here to crack the scrolls. We're here to break the seals. We're here to bring out this information. And I think that it gets so hard for people to understand because, number one, when we go and we approach our writings, our ancient texts, our religious texts, most of us don't do it objectively. We don't do it objectively. We go into these books, and I'm bringing him back in. Give me one moment. We go into these books, already with an agenda. And so everything that we're reading, we're trying to make it fit what we already think. If you start to look at these ancient scrolls, your Bibles, objectively, pull yourself out of it and see what it says, you will see that a lot of the things, okay, that you are subscribing to just doesn't make sense. There's some things that are missing there. It's a lot of things that are missing there. Keep going, Selah. I'm sorry. It's you. Are you frozen? Okay. Anyway. Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Selah.
Yeah, you made a good point, Joe, because it is a lot of things that are missing. And you got missing books in the Bible. You got the book of the Lord, the wars against the Lord in the Bible. That what I mean. It's like, what's that about? Then here in the Owaski, you got a whole book called.
Oh no, you jumped out. So when you come back, you're going to have to pick it up from there.
That's from 3953 BC to 1553 BC. Within that time period of the 23rd arc cycle, and that's the time period we get all, like I say, the Sumerian gods rising up, the Egyptian gods rising up.
All of them. Yeah. And who I consider my answer. Look, your people are having a field day with you right now. They are so funny. He said, she said, you need to detox your phone with some bitter herbs. I know you're not going to let your people talk to you like that. You're going to have to go on with a better system now, because other than that, they'll hear me talk all day, and I know they don't want that. So we
Yo, to keep over there cracking them, I need to detox my phone. Yeah, I need to feed them some goddamn C7.
But keep it going. Let's talk about the vortex. Let's talk about the vortex. Let's get into that. Go ahead.
Now, that's interesting you bring up the vortex, because when you're talking about creation, if you ain't talking about the vortex, you ain't talking about nothing, because the vortex is the fundamental principle of creation. You cannot have a sun, moon, star, or planet without a vortex first. And that's one thing I found very interesting with the Owaski when it broke down creation, how everything starts from a vortex. And then we see this vortex in creation as a whirlwind. We see it as a tornado. We see it as a hurricane and a cyclone.
Yep.
We see the concept of vortexia in nature. And then we see the concept of vortexia in the cosmos through the galaxies. It's the same spiraling spin. And even in the cosmos, when you look at the vortex in the cosmos, you see the cloud dust, and in the center of the vortex, what do you see? A body of light, a sun. That sun would not exist if it wasn't for that body of vortex surrounding it. Now, when you look at every galaxy, you see the exact same duplicate, a spiraling whirlwind and a central body, a central sun. Now, with just that alone, that annihilates the concept of the flat earth, because the flat earth says that the earth is circulating, the sun is circulating in a circle around the earth, and the earth is a flat plane. You can't have an earth without a vortex. You cannot have a sun without a vortex. So the sun is the first celestial body manifested before a planet could even be supported by the planets are subjected to the vortex of the sun. It's just like a tornado. When you see a hurricane, anything that is engulfed, any debris that gets into the hurricane is subjected to the hurricane. It's subjected to the whirlwind. It's subjected to the spinning. The planets is the same way. They are subjected to the master vortex, which is the sun vortex, and everything revolves around the sun. The same way you see in an atom cell, when you look at oxygen, when you look at carbon, when you look at the cells, you see the protons and the neutrons in the center, and what you see surrounding it, the electrons in the spinner, spinning around the center. So it's
Okay, you're breaking up, but you got to keep this going. Selah, you're frozen. Give him a moment, guys. He was getting into something. Selah, you are frozen. The vortex, the spirals. Let's go.
Voice of nature. We can cause MC.
Okay, let me type it in there. I don't think he can hear me. Okay, he's coming out and he's coming back in. Stay tuned because I think that this right here is going to be pretty doggone important to understand, especially for the flat earthers. Come on, Selah. You know, we gonna have a talk. We gotta have a talk after this.
I know, right? These electrical signals, yo, these antennas right here just interfering with the airwaves. You know what I
mean? Keep it going, though. You got it. We gonna work through it.
Yeah, like I say, the vortex is the primary foundation of all things created. So from the vortex, you have a process.
They need you to start over. Selah, that your audience, what they want you to start over. They want you to start over.
Yeah, so like in creation. In creation, whether if it's on the physical or the spiritual, it's three principal things in creation: solid, liquid, and gas. That exists on the spiritual world, and it exists on the terrestrial world. Now, in order to create, we have to start from the gas, because liquid is a combination of two minerals. But in order to have a liquid, you got to have a gas first. Solids is a combination of minerals. So when we talk about the essence of creation, where does creation start? It starts with the air, the atmosphere, the ruach, the spirit, the breath. That's dealing with atmosphere. That's dealing with ether. So what happens is that this ether, this gas, this cloud, these vapors, they produce a whirlwind. And that whirlwind is produced by Creator. There's no man standing in space blowing his breath, creating vortices. These vortices are done through Creator. And we observe these vortices even in nature. When we look at a hurricane and a tornado, a man ain't standing there blowing his breath out creating these things. We observe Creator through nature demonstrating the power of vortex through hurricanes, tornadoes, and no man is behind that. So the same concept exists in the cosmos. Creator pushes the atmosphere, the air, the ruach, the spirit into motion. And when he puts motion, it creates a vortice. And then from this vortice, the process of creation begins by taking the gases, precipitating it to the center of the vortex, creating friction and generating heat and light. And then from there, you have what? A sun. And then from this sun, depending on the size and grandeur, it could create smaller vortices within it. And these vortices become planets, but they follow the exact same process that the sun, like the sun is in a state of creation. The sun has a possibility to become a planet if it makes it to the second stage. So in everything in creation,
oh my God. Selah, you froze. And you got my attention too. Wait a minute, go ahead. Okay, let's get them again. Selah, come back out, come back in. Come out and come back in if you can hear me. Huh? He said, Ahuba said the Druzes are jiggling the wires. He's coming. He's coming back in.
You said the Druzes are jiggling the wires?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, they jiggling my antennas like this and shit.
But you got it. Keep it going. Keep it going. This is good stuff.
Oh yeah. So like creation is one universal order to it. So all celestial bodies, the first physical celestial sign is the sun. Even the earth in the Owaspis says the earth was once a globe of fire. And then Simu or Nebula, Aja rained down and cooled down the fire. And then you have the mineral kingdom. Then from the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom. From the vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom. And then from the animal kingdom, the inhabitable age. Meaning that the earth is now suitable to support vegetation and animal. Now it's going to come a time where the vegetation is going to be exhausted and it's going to become desolate and barren, no different than how you see Arizona, the Grand Canyon. The whole planet is going to resemble a barren wasteland after the vegetation has been exhausted. Just like a farmer, when you plant seed and you plant vegetables, that soil is only good for so long before it becomes exhausted of its minerals, and you got to move on to other fields and produce seed on new soil because the soil over here is exhausted. Now, if you do that throughout the whole planet and exhaust the soil of the whole planet, and there's no vegetation to eat, animal and man will go extinct. And then you have the age of extinction and the time of barrenness, when the earth will be like the Sahara Desert in Africa or the Grand Canyons. It'll just be a barren planet. And then from there, precipitate and break down back into a dust cloud, cosmic dusk. And that's when you call the fourth age, when it goes into dissolution, where it dissolves itself back into a cloud dust. And then from the cloud dust, guess what? It forms the vortex and creation starts all over again. And that's what you call the four ages: the time of creation, the time of inhabitation, the time of barrenness, and the time of dissolution, just like the four seasons. And it starts all over again, and it never stops and it never ends. That's creation in the whole.
and I got you. Okay, now I had a very similar, well, I'm going to say simpler explanation about the earth being round and not flat. And my simple explanation is this: if the earth was flat, then I would consider that two-dimensional, and being as though that I'm three-dimensional and I am a product of my atmosphere, I would not be on a 2D flat earth. Okay, right. Now that's the simplest way that I put it. But the way that you got it, is for those who like to think, the scholars and stuff like that. So if you missed him, you want to rewind and let him explain all of that again. Okay, so what arc cycle are we in now?
It's interesting because in the Owaspy, it gives us a timeline from the creation of man to our present time, and it gives us markers, those 3,000-year periods called arc cycles, and they're numbered. So, for example, you have the first arc cycle after the creation of man, or the creation of mortals, the second arc cycle, the third, and so forth. So right now, we're in the 25th arc cycle after the creation of mortals. And the ruler of the 25th arc cycle is a female goddess. So that's why the feminine energy is so dominant on the planet right now. The feminine energy is so dominant that you got dudes turning into women. That's how dominant the energy is, because it's a female goddess in charge right now. And she's an Etherian goddess, and she's going to be ruling for the next 3,000 years.
Yep.
So the atmospherian gods, like God is a captain of the planet. He's an atmospherian god. And these gods do successions within a 3,000-year period. They succeed the throne, just like a president. He rules for 4 years. Then the next president comes, he rules. That's how the atmospherian gods, who we consider God in the Bible, those are atmospherian gods, successions. They have successions. But the Etherians, they rule over the whole arc cycle of 3.
Right. He's froze again. Hello? Okay. So while we wait for him to come back in, okay, while he's waiting for us to come back in, this is what I wanted to say. This is actually mentioned for a lot of you who are in the Christian faith and things of that nature. This is mentioned. Paul tells you about this when he's saying that he does not wrestle. We don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but we have this hierarchy. We have principalities. We have spiritual wickedness in high places, like all of that. These things are mentioned in your Bible. This is not a foreign concept. It's just that we're in the time and the season where, we have to unlock mysteries so that you can see it. Selah, you ready?
Yeah. Yeah, the dude I saw, he's the four yugas of the cycles of the Hindus. Yeah, it do coincide. Because the Hindus, they do have a system.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah. They do have 3,000-year systems. They have 12,000-year systems. And the Owaspy goes into how these systems are broken down from the 3,000 to 12,000 to 24,000 to 72,000 to 144,000 and so forth. We have a timetables of prophecy where it gives us mathematics on those levels. So most definitely.
Okay. All right. So, how many? Wait a minute. Give me one. Keep it going while I answer this real quick, if you can, for a moment.
Yeah. So like I say, man, it's like dealing with creation. That's why I love the OASP, because the way it breaks down the science of creation, dealing with vortex. The vortex is the first cause of creation, and everything in creation is subjected to vortexia. It's like I said, the DNA spiral is vortexia. When you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, which is the vibrational frequency of everything, of visible light and invisible light in creation, is vortexia. It's wave frequencies. You can't have that wave frequency if you don't have that vortex. So you can't escape the void. We are subjected within the vortex. We can't escape the vortex. So a lot of times, like when the flat earthers say that the earth has a dome, there's some truth to that, but it's not a dome. It's just the vortex. And the pressure of the vortex is so condensed that we can't penetrate through it because of the density of the vortex in the higher realms. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They almost there, but they got some truth. But you know what I mean? They need to get this OASP and deal with some of this real cosmological science that you could prove in real time and show scientific examples and experiments in real time.
Exactly. So, Brother Asar, I didn't even get his question. He said a non-live follow-up video may be beneficial covering the misinformation. You're absolutely right. That's my other brother, Ty. You know, he was part of my gang. And let me see what we have here. And speaking of cycles, does the arc cycle of the Earth, according to the OASP, correlate with the 4 Yuga cycle? For example, okay. I think you answered that already. I was trying to catch up with the chats, and he's out of it right now. So we may have to do a non-live version of this, because, you know, I don't want y'all to miss this information. And he has studied this for such a long time. And I studied it to the point where, you know, I was done studying it. Just to the point where I was, I guess, living it. Just living through this realm, like trying to figure out why I'm in communication, you know, why I'm feeling like, okay, when I go to bed at night, or if I go into a meditation, I can jump from one dimension to another. Like, these are some things that our ancestors were doing for a very long time. It's very hard. And what I was telling him earlier was very, very hard when people go into reading religion subjectively. Okay, you have to put yourself out of it. You have to pull your beliefs out of it and then reread it and see what it says. Okay, go ahead, Selah. We're still going. Science.
That's a good point to bring out. Now, that's a good point, because, you know, a lot of times we have tunnel vision based off our religious views. So if I had tunnel vision, I would have never been able to pick up this book and read it, because I would have had my expectations on it. When I got this information, I read it with an open eye. You know what I mean? It's a book with information. So it's not like we hold on to the book and it's, you know what I mean? Like how people hold on to the Bible. No, we can never read the OASP again and be good, because the knowledge obtained in there is, it's for you. You know what I mean? Like when you read what Creator expects from you from the OASP, it's the service done unto others. So once you find out that there's a grading system to your spiritual ascension, meaning to say that every human on the planet has a grade from 1 to 99, and based within those.
He's gone.
With that, we can never read a OASP again and go out here and do the works and good works and still receive the spiritual advancement without even reading a book, or just reading a book and then putting it down and never having to come back to it. We got what we needed from it and move forward, because actions speak louder than words. So we can't always just be in the book. We got to go out there and put foot and hand out there and do some things. You see what I'm saying? Like, even when you read the OASP, when you look at all the stories, these guys ain't coming down here reading books to people. They out here doing works. They out here delivering hells. They're rescuing drudges. They're straightening up the false gods. They're breaking up heavenly kingdoms. They at work. They ain't coming down here from ethereal with the OASP like, all right.
Right when he was getting ready to get, he's gone. Because when he comes back, I'm about to put him on a hot seat for real quick. I'm about to ask him about Jehovah versus Jehovah, and we're going to get into the Isu. Okay, so I'm hoping that you're ready. You ready to be on the hot seat? You ready to be on the hot seat?
Talk to me.
Okay. Jehovah versus Jehovah.
Ooh, well, you know what? I ain't gonna lie. Like, now, all right, now I'll make it make sense.
Okay.
because I was going to have a debate with somebody, Jehovah versus the Bible versus Jehovah versus the Owaspy. Because etymology, it's just a letter difference. It's just an A and an I difference. But is the behavior of Jehovah in the Bible compared to the behavior of Jehovah in the Owaspy? Now, that's what needs to be debated, because when we put that on the table, now we're looking at the characteristics and actions of who we're supposed to be considering the Most High. In the Bible, God got niggas, Jehovah got niggas over there killing infants. In the Owaspy, Jehovah's telling you the condition of the infants that die in those type of being slaughtered and killed. The Owaspy says, yo, if a child dies in infancy, he's deprived of learning. I mean, he's deprived of physical education, and when he crosses over in spirit, he's deprived of spiritual education, because the physical is entailed on the spiritual. So what you learn here, you're going to start wherever you left off here in the spirit. So, for example, if you left off in the 7th grade, you're going to be taught on the 7th grade level when you cross over, and then you can continue to advance. So if a baby, if an infant dies in infancy, the baby never had a chance to learn language. So that means it's destitute of knowledge. It didn't have a chance to even get visibility. It didn't get a chance to train his eyes to see and understand things visually. It didn't even get a chance to know mommy and daddy. So you have babies crossing over in the spiritual world, destitute of knowledge, while in the Bible, God is telling you to slay infants. So when we put that on the scale and weigh the two, where Jehovah and the Owaspy say, no, don't take lives, because if you kill someone, these are the spiritual conditions that awaits you and the person you killed. But but in the Bible, God is telling you to go out there and slay niggas. So it's like, all right, which one is really making sense? You know what I mean? That's why we asked, like the Creator Gang, when we be debating with some of these other cats, that's the first thing we'll ask them. We said, if you believe in the biblical God, if your God today told you to go out right now and slay infants, will you do it? And that's where we catch everybody on that right there. And some people ignorantly, with the pride and ego, because they know we got them, so they got to stand on what they believe on. They be like, yeah, we'll do it. Like, see. But from the Owaspy, we know we ain't gonna do that, because Jaja already showed us the spiritual condition of those who die in warfare, how they're born in spirit chaotically and lost and bewildered. So why would I engage in warfare knowing those spiritual conditions hang over my head? That's why the Owaspy will always be dominant, and the Jehovah in the Owaspy will always be dominant than the Jehovah in the Bible, just based off the actions and characteristics.
Now, let me tell you how I came to that conclusion. Completely different than you, but still got there, right? Okay, no doubt. So you remember that I was studying a lot of ancient cuneiform Babylonian texts, like all of those ancient scrolls, right? And so you get into a part of the Bible where, Moses supposedly meet with the God. Okay. Right. And he sends him into Egypt, and he wants to know his name. Right. And so, God says, Ehyeh, Asher, Ehyeh. Right. And so what we translated that some kind of way, we end up with a tetragrammaton, and that's supposed to be Yahweh. Right. Or Yah. Right. Now, in ancient Sumer, the Lord that was over the earth name was Enki, but he had a different name as well. Right. And it was E-A. So go ahead and pronounce it and see what it sounds like to you. Pronounce E-A. I'll wait while he's coming in somewhere else. Okay, because he done messed up. Oh, I get what you're doing. You're bouncing from place to place. That's what you're doing. You're going from your phone okay.
Yeah, so because soon as it died on my laptop, I'll go to the phone and continue listening to what you're saying, because I thought the whole thing froze, but now I realize that I'm just freezing and you still talking, so I'll listen. So when I come back, I see where you at with it. So you was talking about Ia, I think, right?
Right. Now, Ia, right?
Right.
Now, when I pronounce E-A, I get Ia. Yeah.
Facts.
I get it. Okay, so those two, E-A, pronounced very fast, can get that, can give you that same pronunciation. So I have concluded that, wait a minute, this was just the God of the earth, or at that time, but not the creator of all, not the creator of all. And even in the ancient Sumerian tablets, you actually hear these the Lost Book of Enki, you actually hear him say, nobody can judge me but the creator of all. So they were even acknowledging that they were going to get in trouble for the things that they were doing. They acknowledged it. When I read that, I bust out laughing because I'm like, he's like, wait a minute. If what I'm doing is right or wrong, only the creator of all can judge me. So we already know that there's a hierarchy system here. I'm of the belief that, you know, getting into that sovereign divinity, we have to bypass that system. But I don't think a lot of people know how. Okay. I think they get stuck, you know, with their religion. I don't think that they understand that there is a hierarchy there. Go ahead and explain that to them, please. Or put your spin on it. Anybody? Hi, Daryl. I ain't seen him in a long time. That's Daryl Kosmon. I remember you. I remember you guys. Oh, okay. Is he back? Come on, Selah, because we need you to do that. EA, Inky, Land, God, Osiris. Hey, there you go, Kosmon, Kyle. There you go. Yahuda, Creator Gang, how are you? I miss my brothers. I really do. At the stream, okay. I really did miss y'all. I had to go on a whole nother journey. I had to figure out what was going on with me and you know, since 2020, while I was having all of these, you know, experiences while I was, you know, and being able to travel, how I even got there. So I had to be in isolation for a little bit, but you know, but now getting back in touch with you guys, and you warms my heart. Go ahead, Selah.
Yeah, you done graduated to Ethereum. You come with that Ethereum fire now.
I'm in Ethereum now, you know, so
Word up. But what was the last thing you were saying? What was the last thing you were saying? Because I caught the tail end when you were talking about the Ea and the Inkies, and how the gods actually acknowledge a creator.
Yeah, and that blew my mind. It was actually written, but why a lot of people don't get this information? I'm of the belief that it's cloaked. Okay, and I don't know how to explain that, and not cloak like magical cloak, but I think when it comes down to, you know, decoding some of our ancient religious systems and things of that nature, it was set aside for a certain people to do. Okay, a lot of times we have people that, you know, I don't know how to explain. Try to interpret what was ours. You know, they try to interpret what was ours, but they don't have the knowledge to go behind it. It's not even in their DNA. So when they come out, it sounds like madness. But when it's cloaked, you know, when we get it. Okay, it makes sense. It clicks when we unlock some things. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's all I want to say.
And that's the same thing even with the Owaspis, because it's funny you bring that up. Because we have this the same conversation. We're like, the Owaspis came through the John New Boy, came through the white boy, but look who got them out here bringing out the message, the revelation. Because half the book is talking about us anyway. When you read the description of Abraham in the Owaspis, it says Abraham had a lofty black beard and his skin was copper color. That's us.
Right.
Moses was copper color. Joshua, Zarathustra, all these niggas was copper color, and all of them come from indigenous regions where melanated people will exist. So the whole Owaspis talking about us. Even it talks about a vast history of indigenous Americans, you know, 18,000 years.
Right. And he's gone again. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
So it's interesting how they're having these Aboriginal wars, or you know, the Kemetics is beefing with the Aboriginals, while the Owaspis saying like, no, it was copper colored people here thousands of years before the slave trade. See what I'm saying? Right. Well, I don't think that we want to advance. Okay, I'm of the likeness that we're very, very comfortable in what it is that we believe. It's been taught to us for a very long time. Your screen went blank, so I'm just listening to make sure you ain't saying nothing.
Selah, are you talking? Because I can't hear you. Say that again. He's going. Anyway, that's what I was coming out with is I believe that we get very, very complacent, you know, and we want to relive a history that's already gone. We want to relive an era that was already past. And we think that these things are applicable for us today, and it's not. But we are to learn. I mean, you need to be studious with this. You need to understand what our ancestors did in the past, what the elves did in the past, what the history is, so that you can build upon it, not for you to repeat it.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Selah.
You hit it. Exactly. So we don't repeat it. Because you know the false gods ain't nothing but like mischief little kids. You see what I'm saying?
They
Like when
funny
you
too.
read the story, it's like really, like how you be initiated in the kingdom. You see the ever presence in the ceremonies and the inauguration of the gods, and you still fall off. I'm like, nah, dog. Just from the little bit I read, I'm like, I ain't never gonna become a false god. I'm like, shoot, ain't never gonna happen. You know what I mean? So, but it's good that these false gods turn false and do what they do, so we learn what not to do. That's why I like
Right.
the favorite stuff in the book is the story for me is the false gods because they show me what not to do. Even when you
Right.
look at Luamung, and Luamung and
Right.
the Trinitarian gods, when they separated to do what they separated, but they still had intention to do good works in the name of Jehovah under the auspice of Holy Ghost because they denied Jehovah's person. But they start off like, all right, we still gonna rock with Jehovah, but of course later as they progress, they solidified themselves as the deity and you know eventually became full-fledged false gods. But they start off with good intentions when they left, and then it turned out to be the total opposite.
All right.
So
All right. Okay. This is beautiful. I don't want to keep you that long, but I do want to open it
you
up
good.
to
You good.
you know the people out here. If y'all have any questions, y'all want to come through. Asar, Asar said, no matter the interruption, we're gonna get this truth. That's my brother. He was actually Asar was actually walking with me during the time both of us was going through these experiences. Like the things that I talk about, this brother goes through it too. Like very, very spiritual, very strong in that. You know, so I appreciated having him around during that time because I was going through it by myself. It was amazing.
Yeah, I could
imagine. Anybody have questions? And Ty as well was part of my group. You know, we all kind of elevated at the same time. We're on the phone with each other, like, you know, what's going on? What can you see? Like, what's happening? So it's to me, it's a beautiful experience that I'm having right now. Like, I'm in peace. You know, I'm in joy. I'm in creator mode. You know, I'm creating out here just like you. You know, brother, you're always out here with your hands in something, always busy, right? Right? I'm the same way, you know, on the feminine side. And a lot of us, we're in this age where we have to really start, you know, creating this new reality. We got to get rid of some of this stuff. We do. We have to get rid of some of this stuff. But keep it going.
Create a new reality, and that's where we are. That's the beautiful thing about the Kosmon era, because the Kosmon era is disconnecting you from the bondage of the ancient gods. You know, we've been under these gods for 6,000 years. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The last god we really got to get rid of is Luamung, because he's the one who pushed Christianity and the concept of a savior deity in between you and your creator. Like, you have a direct connect to creator. The only time a prophet is sent, a savior or a messenger is sent, is when the people is divert from creator. And that,
and it's necessary.
To bring the people back to creator, not to worship them, but to bring them back to creator. Like, we ain't supposed to be worshiping Jesus or Yeshua. Yeshua was the example on how to live so we could become one with creator. So Yeshua said, if you follow my footsteps, you're going to do greater things than me. So if you're supposed to be doing greater things than him, and he told you that 2,000 years ago, why are you looking? What you looking?
He's frozen. She said, Drew just tried to preach, Sissy Sophie. Go ahead. Hello? He's frozen, but okay. I got young Heru. Young Heru? I don't think he can get in. SyvellaR, if you I keep removing you from it.
That's my spiritual body just moving around, you know.
Just moving around, giving this knowledge out. Okay, right. So yeah. Now here's the thing that we also want to say too, because those false gods did all of that stuff, right? You know, we had the angels coming down saying that they were the creator, you know, that nobody gets to heaven but through me. You had all of this going on. The wars were started based off of, you know, this, you know, we're saying, oh, you know, humanity is so warmongering. Well, there's a reason for that. Okay. Right. They had examples, you know, and this is some of the things that I have to meditate on as well, you know, when I'm talking, but I think it's important to actually know that those who did this in the past, they have to correct it now.
Exactly.
So when I'm talking to them, when y'all hear me talk about, connecting with my ancestors or this that person or that person, it's because they're in the place now where everything that they have done in the past have to be corrected in order for them to ascend. Okay, so we don't want to look at these deities the exact same way as we did back then. Yes, they made a lot of mistakes, right? But the creator was on their tail. Let me tell you, and if they stay here long enough, they're ready to do the right thing. So, we want to look at them positively now because our ancestors are here like, hey, Sophie, we need to do this and we need to do that, and I need to get you right. And every time I see them, they pointing up too. They don't want no attention. Angels be like, you got to go. No attention. Right. Right. So, this was the dark past, right? But where we are right now is a bright future. No man left behind, right? Let them know. Selah, talk.
You hit it right there. And I'm glad you brought that up because the false gods right now are on a redemptive path. Even the Oxby showed you that how the false gods, their heavenly kingdoms fell. They was cast in hell and chaos, delivered, and judged before true God and the creator and sent back to do redemptive work, meaning that they got to clean up all what they've done. So, for example, let's use Luamung for an example. Luamung rose up on us. Luamung inspired Ezra. So let's say Ezra is around the 5th century BC. So you're talking about Luamung, that's 2,600 years ago. Luamung got to clean all that work up he did from there. So he ain't going nowhere no time soon. You might as well forget about it. He's going to be in half this arc cycle. But the false deities like, say, Anu Hassaj and Baal and Osir and Ashtaroth, they may have eligibility to ascend within this next arc cycle because there's not too many people worshiping Osiris. They don't have no churches on the corner worshiping Osiris. You may have small little sectors here and there still trying to do the Osirian worship, but nothing on the scale of Islam and Christianity. Those are the two gods. They have major works to do because for the time they came in office to now, look at the amount of souls. Look at the amount of people alive today that are Christian and Muslims. Millions. Let alone when the advent of these religions began and the millions of those coming through the ages. So you're talking about billions, multi-billions of souls that this one person got to redeem all these people before he could ascend and go to the next. I'm like, damn, that's why that's why you'll never see me become a false god. Just off of that alone. Right. That's like being in school and being left back. So you remember when you was in school and, it may have been somebody who got left back and they may be like 20 years old. And you're like, man, he's still in school. He's 20. You picking on him like, yeah, this dude, we 16, 17, and he 20, but he's still in high school. And we're like, yo, how are you 20 and you still in high school? Now just imagine seeing a 60-year-old man still in high school because he ain't progressing or, he's reverting backwards. So it's just like that with these deities and these religions. They're stagnating, they're stuck in one grade, and they follower got to go back, redeem them, and let them know I was lying. I'm not the creator. I'm not Jesus. Now I got to show you how to serve creator. You know what I mean? So that's a burden, a heavy burden on their end. Yeah,
they be pointing up. They be like,
They don't even say nothing. They just look at you and go.
Don't even look at me. They done cut up so bad, and I was looking at the little the asteroid we sitting there. And the funny part about it is I'm having glimpses of this, and I'm like, oh my God, this is why this is making sense. To me, he's disappeared for a second. Anybody got any questions? Y'all want to come in? Y'all want to talk? Because I'm going to put you on hold for a second. I got to use the bathroom. I have to use the ladies' room. Okay. So I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you talk while I use the restroom. Is that okay?
Yeah, all right, that's cool. Yeah. Hopefully I won't freeze up, but if not, I'll just keep talking. Yes, family. Creator gang in the building. Daryl Kosmon, I see you. Takiva, I see you. David Long, what's going on? Kosmon, Cal TV. Peace, beloved. I gotta go back and catch her live. But yeah, man, the sister Sylvia, she on the knowledge family. You see what I'm saying? Dealing with creator, understanding the different deities, and that's what we're trying to bring to the people. Hopefully y'all can get this understanding, although it's compressed in a small time. But I got a body of work on YouTube y'all can check out. We got the Creator Gang TV, and then all the people in the chat part of the Creator Gang family. So we out here just putting in that work, man, bringing people back to the creator, differentiating who the creator is from the deities. That's probably the most important thing to do right now, is to address the gods, because you could claim 12 tribes, you could claim the Israelites, you could claim to be a Kemetic, a Cushite, a Hindu, whatever nationality. And when you got God telling you that after you die, you're going to go there to address to God, because now you're talking about my destiny, where my soul is going after I leave this plane. So that's why we so strong on the necks of these gods, because you could be damn near misguided, thinking you following Creator and you following a man who's trying to lead you down the wrong path. So it's the same thing, man. It's like trying to raise your kid in the community and keep them with guns activity. So you try to keep them on the straight and narrow. So it's the same thing. We try to stay on the straight and narrow with Creator, and in the process exposing these false gods. You dig? Now look at that. This thing working fine now. No freezing up and no nothing. Y'all got some questions? You can throw it in the chat. I see you. To keep it, what's good? It breaks the first commandment, these false gods. Yeah. What's the first commandment? Love Creator first. Everything after, yo. Creator first, everything after. Vortex first, everything after the vortex. Everything in creation comes after the vortex.
Okay, I'm back.
At it. Squeeze the lemons up. Good.
Back. I think young Haru keeps coming backstage. Come on, you can come back in, young Haru. What's happening when you come backstage? Is it freezing on you, or I think you got a question. Okay, who else got a question? While I was going the whole time, you was flowing nicely.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, yeah, see, that feminine energy had to come back and disrupt the energy. Like, we got that dominant energy. Y'all dominant right now. Y'all running the show. Like, one thing about females I know Creator gave women is discernment. Because, man, y'all discernment be off the chain. Y'all be knowing things, you know what I mean, beforehand.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we do. We do. And that's beautiful. But we have that to balance y'all out. You know, we not anything without each other. You know what I mean? I've never been a feminist. I'm not a feminist. Okay. But I do believe, as my power as a woman, but when it comes down to male bashing and things like that, I heard some, people talk about, we live on this earth, and it could be all women. Oh, I mean, men.
See, we don't need men. The Bartholomew gland will produce a seed and produce man. We don't need y'all. I'll be like, man. Go ahead with that.
Never been a
right.
No, but you're doing an amazing. Oh, okay. One last hot seat question. Hot seat question.
I love the hot seat question.
For this one? Isu.
Ooh, Isu. Now, you know what? That's kind of layered, because Isu, essentially, like, when I first read in the Awaspi, I first came across it in Ashang, the book of Ashang, when it talks about the heavenly kingdom called Yahshua. It's actually a heavenly kingdom called Yahshua in the book of Ashang, and it's the place of salvation. And they described it. They said Moral's tongue was thick, so they couldn't pronounce it. So they said Aisu in reference of saying Yeshu. So Aisu, it stated that it's one who has no earthly desires or no sexual desires. So that's one definition of Aisu, one who is passionless, sexless, who doesn't desire sex. And then you have another form of Aisu where it has to deal with kind of like genetics. Like, it could be like, is he man or woman? He looked like a girl. Is he a boy? It talks about that.
The androgynous.
The androgynous kind of concept, right? You got some, like when you read the story of Chinese in the Awaspi, it talks about that. Like when Chinese was born, they didn't know if he was male or female. It was like, you know what I mean? So those are the two aspects of Aisu. You got the genetics, and then you got the actual desire, like having no desire to have of sex. You know what I mean? So Yahshua, the actual Yahshua HaMashiach, was classified as an Aisu, and he didn't have that's why, like, according to the Awaspi, if he was an Aisu, he couldn't have no children, because he was ascended above the earthly desires.
Right.
So he was really sent just specifically to do that particular duty. You see what I'm saying? But the Aisu I thought was quite interesting, because you don't see Aisu in the Bible. You really find that terminology, but when you look at the meaning and the background of it, you can see it in people. Like, I know people that are not sexually driven like that. You know, while you got others that, man, I got to pump every day. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. And they're gonna have the harder time. And I'm gonna tell you something. It's amazing, you know, on this earth realm that we have the capabilities to engage in that type of. So I'm not going to tell anybody, you know, never to do that. Yeah. But I do realize that in order to ascend past this world, we do have to have or practice a certain level of detachment.
Facts.
Because if we do not, like, if we become bound to that sexual experience or bound to that drinking experience or bound to anything that would keep us earthbound, we're not going to be able to ascend. And if we do, you know, we're going to have to keep coming back over and over again because our consciousness isn't high enough to say, hey, I've learned this, I've experienced this, I understand it, now what's next?
Exactly.
We get caught up with the, hey, I learned this, I like it, I got to keep it. I got to keep it forever. You know, when you keep it forever, you don't get to higher levels of consciousness. You don't. Exactly. You have to just learn how to go with the flow. I think sex is very healthy in a marriage, in a relationship. You know, I'll never talk against that, ever. But at the same time, stop laughing at me, Selah. But at the same time,
that's the greatest pleasure creator ever made, Joe.
the creator guy, you know, he get kudos.
Yeah, I ain't denying that at all. I'm headlong for that one. It's like that's part of the earthly experience, so we ain't gonna play them games.
Right.
I ain't one of them bros that be on the corner reading a book in a nice lordy boy and they ain't trying to act like it's a sin to look. No, we ain't playing them games. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm in the flesh. That's flesh. I'm watching flesh. But
yeah, it's part of the experience. You know, it's part of the growth because eventually. Once you indulge, eventually you get tired of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You when you be time you come 60, 70 years old, ain't no how many 60, 70 years old out there just humping every day. They done exerted that energy because they done went through it. And now they have
I don't know. In this day and age, they got pills for that. Nah, they doing it. Nah, them 60, 70, and a lot of us still look young too. You know, a lot of people still look young. Yeah,
especially up north.
Some of them have some healthy. Hi, young hair Ruth. You got a question?
Yeah, I got a few questions. I was asking about the old blood thing, and so most humans and animals have the same blood. Is this old blood really specific, or is it like all over the earth? I mean, because you guys make it seem like it's not from this planet or it's something.
Oh, there's a lot of O's on this planet.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's a lot of O's on this planet. You know, O positive, O negative, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, since it has O in it, right. But they
it's
have
just that when you do the research on blood types, it's just that when you do the research on blood types, you find that O is just rare and compared to the rest of the blood types.
And RH.
Okay.
RH.
Right, the RH factor, yeah. The rhesus monkey factor.
So you used to be in Rastafarian before you got into this knowledge, right?
Well, I'm West Indian, so that's part of that's coming up. That's just day. I'm Trinidadian,
yeah,
so like
so am
coming
I.
up. That's yeah, man. Rastaman is like that's that's innate. That's there. Like liberty and Rastafari, that ain't going nowhere as far as the lifestyle, the looks, the diets. Yeah. But as far as the Selassie part, that's what we'll clash at. But as far as just the liberty, yeah, man Rasta all day, you're not king.
Yeah, because I came from a Christian background, but since I was like 11, 12 years old, I got into the Rastafarian, but when I got older, early 20s, and I start to study and read more, I start to elevate, so I don't really put myself in no categories anymore. Right, so in saying that, like I saw you on Call Somebody channel a couple times, and I know why you're not there no more, because I'd rather see you in this environment where you could, break it down more instead of going back and forth with people that not trying to understand, and whatever you say, they try to deflect it because they're so stuck in their belief. They can't even grow, So in saying that, even if I sometimes I still be having certain doubts, because regardless of what I know, like even the book you're speaking of, it even correlate to more ancient times speaking, So even the knowledge that you speak of, I could relate to it because certain spiritual book I read about ancient Africa or the 11 laws of God, certain things, they correlate with each other. So that's why I could understand more when you speak. It's not just a belief, So in saying that, sometimes I still have little doubts about, the afterlife and stuff.
You have doubts about
Because
it?
Yeah,
Uh,
because like regardless of what we know or what we learn, I still feel like it's just information based off man's knowledge. I know people gonna say, well, something has to give him this inspiration and this knowledge, and where do it all come from? All that makes sense, So regardless of what, I still deep down inside I just try to say, maybe it's because of what you learned, maybe because you're programmed, maybe yeah, I could come up with
Right,
all kind of excuses,
right, right,
but
right.
deep down
right.
inside of me, I feel like there's something more.
Facts.
So that's why I try to live my life based on certain principles because I feel like I have something to achieve, regardless of what I know I learned or didn't learn, because most people that bring us this information, they had to get it from somewhere, so they had to desire some kind of will in order to come up with these concepts.
Right.
So right, so in saying that,
Right.
what's your response?
Yeah, man, you're right, Nakin, because like that's what led me to this journey. Because my thing was, what happens when we die? Like from a youth, man, that was the question the Adrian had for the eye. You know what I'm saying? So it was like
Yeah,
from small, me read all the books, the holy books. I read the whole Quran at 16 in 1996. Like, been on this level of information. But dealt with the Kemetic, the book of coming forth by day, the
yeah,
ancient Egyptian. Man, I did all that in my 90s, in my teenage years. I did that. You see what I'm saying? So what the Creator
Me
showed me was
too.
that
Yep.
I'm gonna reveal to you your heart's desire, which is you want to know what happens after you die. Hey, I got a whole book for you to study. As long as you study and get this information, you'll have some awareness and insight in comparison to having nothing. And you come into the spiritual world blank, not knowing nothing, in comparison to having a guide and a level of awareness. So when you cross over, you could be conscious. At least you could be like, all right, I was told this. Once you regain your consciousness, you could be like, all right, I was aware of this. I was told this when I was a terrestrial being. So it's
right,
just like school. You know what I mean? If when you're in school, your objective is to graduate and go to college. So let's say college is the spiritual world. That's the life after death, while school is a terrestrial world. Now, when you first go to high school, you're not thinking about college. You're in the ninth grade. You're just getting there. You're you're having fun. But by the time you get to the 11th and 12th grade, you start thinking about what's going to take place after high school and college. That's the equivalent of what's going to take place after this terrestrial realm and where I'm going to go after. You start having these thoughts. But just imagine when you hit the 11th grade, your teacher hit you with a book. Here, I want you to study this book. These are the different colleges that exist outside of this high school that you could attain as long as you keep your grade up to maintain to go to these other colleges. So that's the equivalent of saying as you get older, the Creator is going to come within your consciousness and let you know that, yo, there's life after death. If you don't believe me, I'm going to send you an ancestor. I'm going to send you somebody who lived, that died, and going to come to you and talk to you, whether it be in your dream, whether you be in your sleep, or whether it be when you get closer to when you get ready to die, that reality will come. Because a lot of times, like my wife's mother, she died in the house that we was in, and we bear witness to her talking to her ancestors. Right, that she in the bed, she's looking up at the light and she's talking, and we looking like who she talking
Yep.
to. But now, understanding this knowledge, we know that she was talking to her guide, the one that's going to come deliver her from her physical body to take her to the realm. But it's levels to this, and not everybody is equipped to. Some people, when you talk
Mm.
about life after death, they freeze up, they get scared. Oh, you talking about death? I don't want to talk about that. And here we are talking headlong in the situation. So it's just like you say, brethren, it's just different levels of
Right.
awareness of where people are at. Some people are not
Right.
ready to deal with this, so they ignore it. They write it off as pseudo, they write off as fairy tale. But if you talk to your
Right.
great great grandmother, your oldest living relative, and you talk about
Right.
these things, I guarantee you they're going to say that man is head on. I have seen my grandmother come to me. I have seen my mother done seen him. My mother done seen my father when he died. My wife seen my grandfather when we was in New York. When I did the when I went to go teach at the Kosmon Temple in Brooklyn, I experienced spirit activity, opening doors, books flying off
Right.
the shelf. I experienced that. Until you have the experience, then you will know for yourself, and no
That's
one can
right.
tell you different. Books are just guides. That's it. It's just
That's right.
roadmaps.
That's right.
But the
yeah.
experience is going to determine your reality.
Yeah, that's the best teacher. I always tell people that experience because I've been through a
Exactly,
lot
my
too.
God.
Like even someone that I lost really, not too long ago. And like a few days after, because it was sudden, tragic. And I was like, it was really, I was really in pain and can't stop thinking about it.
Man.
So, yeah, certain mornings I wake up and there was a bird that always never used to come there. And for 2-3 weeks straight, every morning, it's singing loud, in my ears. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
like, yeah, it was like,
Wow.
yeah. And, I don't want to go into detail, but, I'm a single father. So that's just say it all. And yeah, so that was like one of the first experience I had about, which was kind of strange to me.
Right. That's good. That's good.
Right. Right.
Oh, look, I got my brother from Tennessee, Asar, in here. You got a question? Hi.
Greetings, I'm Shanti, and all kind of other shit you ain't never heard of.
He's still doing this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, see,
All right, go ahead.
well, me and you, Sophie, we talked about this, I think briefly, but so briefly you probably don't even remember. But I keep hearing people throw up the whole notion that Jesus of the Bible, Yeshua of the Bible, is a copy and paste story from Kemet. Now, me of a person that understands how incarnations and emanations work, could it be possible to ask that maybe Yeshua of the Bible is just an incarnation, reincarnation, or emanation of the same type being having a different human experience and having to testify and journal and document it in the Bible?
Well, you know
So
what?
you're
It's
talking
interesting
about
because
emanation.
Yes.
no, go ahead, sis. Go ahead, sis. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just trying to make sure I was getting his question right. You're talking about like an emanation of the same energy residing in Egypt that was in Israel. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
Is it an incarnation?
Yeah, a different time period, just having the same experience in a different area.
Yeah, that's possible.
I
That's
like
most
the way
definitely
that
possible.
sounds.
Yeah, that's definitely like, yeah. It's just like the prophets of old, just using the Bible for an example, because most people are familiar with the Bible. Not everybody's heavy into the Kemetic unless you really study Kemetic. But just like the Bible, you had Moses, and then you had Yeshua or Jesus. So it's the same message filtering from one person, filtering through another person throughout the ages, which is whatever the message may be, whether it be worship of one God or whether it be don't eat no more flesh and blood, or whether it be whatever the case may be. But the message can transfer through the different prophets. But the actual person, like for example, like when Yeshua or Jesus went up on the mountaintop and Moses appeared to them. So it wasn't like the energy of Moses embodied in Yeshua. The entity of Moses still existed separately from embodying into somebody else and came to Yeshua as that entity spiritually, spanning like, yo, boom, boom, whatever the conversation that they had about on the mountain. And that shows you right there, even with that story with Moses coming to appear to Yeshua, that proves that Moses resurrected before Yeshua. Yeshua wasn't the first fruit from the grave, because in the Bible, it documents when Moses died. Then he appears to Yeshua damn near 1,500 years later. He rose from the spirit. What the hell he doing appearing to Moses if he's supposed to be dead just on the Christian and Hebraic belief system? So Yeshua wasn't the first fruit. It just proved that there's life after death. And I'm just speaking from the biblical theology world for those, because not everybody, believe Moses and all the prophets and all that stuff, but those just dealing with that theology. Because I could bounce from, we can go to Kemetic, we can go to Sumerian, we can go to Hebrew. Once you become spiritually ascended, you look at everything as a whole.
Right.
It's universal. So
that's right.
Yeah, King.
Hey, Cosmic, good to see you again, man. I ain't seen you in a long time. I used to see you on Sanetta, but I don't really look at that channel no more. So,
man, peace to young Haroon. Peace to the sister Sophie. Hey, you know what that Sophia, you did what I'm talking about. That's that knowledge and that wisdom. That's that thing on the inside. You hear me? You did what I'm talking about. Shout out to Selah Shalom. Peace to the creative gang. You did what I'm talking about. All the righteous gods and the Nirvanian goddesses. You did what I'm talking about. Hey, it was a good build, man. Hey, look, what I noticed is every time you started cooking, That thing pause. Hey, listen.
I know.
Every time you started cooking, man, you dig what I'm talking about? So you was raised and you could feel that vibratory rate start to go, and the wire like, I can't take no more. You know what I mean?
So the drudge is dangling the wires, yo.
Oh man, it's ugly. You dig what I'm saying? Hey, but this is a good build. This is a good build. I like the energy. You dig what I'm saying? Whether the sister know it or not, she a faithist. You dig what I'm talking about? You ain't got to believe it. We know. We see what we see.
Kosmon, she was around before y'all. She was on Washington before all y'all. She came before you. She came before she was there before everybody in the Creator Gang. But matter of fact, that Daryl know her from back in the day. She was around Louis, like around right before Louis. Yeah. She a faithist. She one of us, bro.
Oh yeah.
Navia.
Hey, you can tell you what's the old saying? It ain't hard to tell.
Okay.
You dig what I'm talking about? It ain't hard to tell. You know what I mean? Hey, this was a great build, man. It was a question that you asked the brother earlier about the age of the earth, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not on my computer, I'm on my tablet right now, but there are great cycles in the earth. Okay. And what Owaspy reveals is that the earth, they tell us that the earth is roughly 4.5 billion years old, right? Owaspy puts it at roughly 5.2. It's older than what they say it is. It's at roughly 5.2. Now, in that 5.2 billion years, man has been on and off the earth roughly 14 million years in different cycles. So for instance, there the brother was speaking about the great
now
sun cycle. Am I froze?
You just came back. Keep it going.
Oh, okay. He was speaking about the great sun cycle, or what is called the Tao Sang. We see this. We see the symbology of it all around the world. You dig what I'm talking about? In Egypt, you would call this understanding of the stars in the sky, you would call it Ankh. In America, you would call this great science and understanding Khan.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Okay. So when you see the serpent eating its tail, or you see the great goddesses feeding the sign of the Ankh, what they say represents life, and not really. Really, what the Ankh is a pointer. It allows you to show where you are galactically through your cosmogony, to show you where and when you are historically. Okay, so the earth is billions of years old, right? We are in the 23rd great galactic spin. Now, what that equates is to roughly 240 million years. Now, understand this, for our sun. Okay, first of all, let me explain this. Our sun and our solar system spins around its sun. We spin around our sun, right? And it spins around its sun. That sun is called Heracleon, or the Tau, or what we now know today as the Northern Star, Hercules.
Okay.
Right? That is our sun's sun. But that sun spins in, and it takes roughly 4.7 million years, or 40. You dig what I'm talking about? 4.7 million years for our sun to go around its sun. Now, it takes roughly 240 million years for our sun's sun to go around the galactic center. We are in the 23rd one of those 240 million cycles. We are in the 7th. Now, we are in these great cycles, right, of 4.7 million years, right, are broken down into 8 cycles of 576,000 year periods. right?
Okay.
And those 576,000 year periods called gardens are broken down into 144,000 year time periods,
Interesting number.
also called seasons, right?
Okay.
So just like spring, summer, fall, and galactically, that is what's happening to the earth. There is a time where there is spring and everything is going on and popping up, and then there's a time of rest. You dig what I'm talking about, which is fall. Then there's a time of barrenness, and then there's a time of rebirth.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And our galaxy, which is in a universe, does the same thing. It's right on time. And so man has been on and off. We are in the 7th dispensation, right? So man has been on in the last 4.7 million year cycles. He's been off on for these cycles, right? In these grand cycles. Every out of these 576,000 years, there's 144,000 years called the Eoptian age, or the optimal time for man and plant to survive.
Okay.
And listen, and dig this. If you take the 144,000 away from the 576,000 year great span of time, you get exactly the count of the Kali Yuga.
Keep it going.
Exactly.
No,
So
we're asking.
go
ahead.
So the Kali Yuga is based off the grand time or the garden cycle of the timetables of prophecy. It's just without the 144,000 years that man actually exists. Or you could look at it as the 144,000 years that man doesn't exist on the planet. That's exactly the Kali Yuga, because the Kali Yuga is 432,000 year span of time. You add 144,000 to 432,000, you get 576,000 years. You see what I'm saying? So it's broken down into a great time.
And math goes like this. Math, that's too much math, but that's why I'm glad to hear that's too much math for me. I love it, but keep it going.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I love
it. These numbers, I don't know, like nobody don't actually live to see these numbers. I'll be happy if I see 100 years. But in saying that, I mean, like I said, the knowledge, it had to be inspired, because there's no way man just going to come up with these explanations and like I said, I feel like, I don't know, like he was talking about the cycles. I don't know how man was before, because some things they created we can't even duplicate, like the pyramids and certain things. So certain science, certain things, like they say, nothing is not new under the sun. So I feel like our ancient people had a closer and deeper connection with nature, and like everything we use is based off their knowledge and their understanding. People might try to take credit for it and try to discount even the alphabet today, So in saying that, I just feel like man had a deeper understanding, and throughout that, I think like even certain books, I think that they are hidden from us, certain things we still don't know. So yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah.
And many things are hidden, but our Creator also told us in every religion, don't matter what religion you believe in, he told us that there will be a time where all things would be revealed. That's in Buddhism, that's in Brahmanism, that's in Islam, that's in Christianity. It don't matter. You did what I'm talking about. You got to remember, a false god is telling the story, and they regurgitating a story that they were told. Remember, when Egypt got spirituality, it was already mythos day one. Didn't they get it from the Nubians?
Yep.
Okay then. Well, it was mythos
Well,
day one.
yeah, they would.
They'll
They
tell
wouldn't
you.
say
They'll
that,
tell
but
you
we all
every
know
god
that.
that they serve is fake, mythos, made up, not real.
Yeah, allegories, right?
Allegories. You dig what I'm talking about? They'll tell you that right now.
Jabari.
You dig what I'm talking about? So we just bring it out.
I got a few Egyptologists that would really argue with you about that. I'm not one of them. But I know.
You did what I'm talking about. There are people who know more about Egypt than me, right?
Yeah.
And one of those people is Jabari Anasazi. One of those people is Shaka Amos, and one of those people are Reggie Marbury, and every single one of them said none of it is real. It is all mythos.
That's right.
So they wouldn't be arguing with me. They would be arguing with what we find in history. You dig what I'm talking about? That this comes from an older. See, people make the mistake and think that Egypt is the oldest. Egypt is a baby.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
Egypt is a baby. Egypt is the baby. You got the Harappian society thousands of years older than Egypt. You got those out of Persia thousands of years. You got the Sun Kingdom in ancient Asia 20,000s of years older than the time of Narmer and the founding of Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know about it.
I've learned a long time to.
I don't speak on things that I don't know. Okay, so that's one thing that you're going to know about me. If I don't know it, I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to pretend to know it. So I'm going to hear what you're saying, and I'm going to research it because that's what idiots
that's
do.
the problem. They don't want to agree when they don't know something. Like a long time I already learned. It's more the principles and the messages from these stories. I don't really take them literally and try to make a figure outside of myself. That's why I tell people, if they really think that they glow and find something outside their self to get recognition from it, like there's nothing you get. You can't. How can you please the creator? Who are you to please the creator when the creator is pleasing you by giving you this experience of existence? So it doesn't. It's crazy when I think about it, but like I said, I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things, but I don't try to. I'm not a historian, so I might not be good with numbers and stuff, but I read and I have a lot of understanding, So that's my perspective on a lot of things.
Hey, okay. I got a question for Selah Shalom.
What up, Ken?
Hey, Selah Shalom. Do you creator gang guys? You know what I mean? Do you guys, you faithists? You dig what I'm talking about? Do you guys just believe Owaski?
Tell them what we do to Owaski. Well, we'll burn it and throw it in the trash, but we're not burning no books.
Bust shot at the Owaski up. Burn the Owaski. We ain't working. We're not bound to nothing.
Because like I say, if you really read the Owaski, you'll notice that ain't nobody sitting around. Ain't no God came down with a book and said, yo, sit down. I'm going to go ahead and go through Matthew 34 and we're going to debate this. The gods is at work.
Right.
When they come down here, the Etherians is at work. Labor, hands and feet is the story of Owaski. Right. The service done to the others, lifting up those beneath you so they could graduate in the sense of the next level. That's what the book about.
That's the whole book.
We don't get stuck on if Abraham existed or if Moses is real or not. We could care less if they exist. Because if they find out Moses was a real character today, the only thing you could say is, I told you so. That's about as best you could do. If they found Abraham today, the most thing that Hebrews could say is, look, see, I told you we was telling the truth. Exactly.
I say that all the time. What do you learn? What do you learn? It's all about the message, right?
Hey, I brought out a little light on Moses today.
Oh, you did win live, Kosmon. I'm gonna have to catch that. I'm gonna have to come back and catch that.
Yeah. Y'all log on and
What's that?
We coming to your channel next. Kosmon, Kyle TV.
Yeah,
coming over there next. We coming over here
That's
next.
what's up. That's what's up.
We gonna worship your stuff.
You always welcome. You always welcome.
Thank
You always
you.
welcome. You always welcome.
Thank
You ain't even gotta ask. Just come on in and we can just build. Just come on
Door
in.
already open.
Door
Thank
already
you.
open. We expecting you.
The door's already
We
open.
expecting
I
you.
appreciate that.
So
I appreciate
just
I'm gonna return a favor. Have on my channel next.
facts. Do that.
it.
Hey, and for everybody who may not have caught it earlier, go log on and subscribe, share, and like to the Kosmon Cal TV show. In the light of what the brother is bringing out about Moses, I did bring out a little light about Moses and who we believe he is historically. You dig what I'm talking about?
Right,
And
okay.
what the
Let's
biblical.
Let's save that for another show. That's a whole nother topic, and that looks like that's going to be good. But I don't want to get into that right now. But I would love for you to break that down at one point. Definitely, okay? But I kept you people in my audience engaged for a little bit over 2 hours. People have to eat. People have things to do. You know, I appreciate the build though. Really, you know, I appreciate seeing you guys again and some of the people in the, you know, in the chat. I missed you all. And Selah Shalom. Bless you for coming through. Is there any parting words you want to leave with the people, guys?
Yeah, I just want to say, man, you know, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm going to add you to our messenger group, the Create a Gang group, so you could, you know what I mean, be involved with what we got going on, because you're part of the family. You've been around before them, so I definitely got to throw you in there, you know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Other than that, you know what I mean, make sure y'all stay steadfast in y'all beliefs, keep studying and growing, get you in the WASPy. I ain't read no book that topped this book yet, and I done read them all, from the Egyptian Book of the Dead coming forth by day and night, to the Temple and Man, to the goddamn Bible, the Quran. I done read them all. The holy books of the Bible, the lost books of the Bible, the forgotten books of Eden, Kemetic text, Kemetic science, did it all. And the WASPy stands the clearest out of all of them as far as the overall concept of what we here for, who is the creator, who are the deities. Ain't nothing topping it. That's why we be on some old, we'll debate anybody on it, just to bring clarity to the debate for the people.
How do I get that book? It's easy.
It's on Amazon for like $25-$30.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna get that book then. Say no more.
It's gonna take a long time to finish it though. It's gonna it's deep study.
We spend a lot of time on doing nonsense, so you know, you might as well
spend
some.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to my sister. I'm gonna subscribe to Shalom and Cosmic, and you guys can always check out my channel. Or I be on channel My Art Forever. Can
you put it in the chat?
Yeah, put the link. We'll subscribe to it now.
The link. Okay.
Yeah, he's a
everybody that wants us to subscribe, put it in the link.
All right, man.
Go ahead and support.
Great Bill, and I hope to see you guys again soon.
Yes, I.
Oh, you definitely see us again. Thank you, Selah, and thank you guys. Y'all, yes, I am Sophie, and I love you all. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Bless us, sis. Till next time, family.
Next time.